Out in the open first tonight, Venom in Washington. It was a dramatic, tense scene in the Capitol today when Vice President Cheney and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, one after the other, exchanged insults. The backdrop is the debate over paying for the war in Iraq and whether to set a deadline to get U.S. forces out. Let's go straight to tonight's Out in the Open panel. Air America radio host Rachel Maddow, Niger Innes, a political consultant and national spokesman for CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality, and CNN contributor Roland Martin. Welcome all. So, Rachel, it seems the Vice President's got very comfortable playing the role of the bad cop. But where does this confrontation really go from here when we know the President's going to veto this bill and he's not going to allow the Democrats to force change on his Iraq policy?
Well, the President has said that he was going to veto it almost no matter what was in it. He hadn't seen a final bill before he started giving those veto threats. The Democrats, I think, were right to not back down and say, well, if you're going to veto it, we're going to ask for exactly what we want. At the same time, the Democrats, I think, are playing a very hard hand here. They're pushing him as hard as they possibly can. The President just wants to keep staying the course, and he's going to have to pay the price for it.
Part of this is theatrics?
Well, I mean, what is the Congress supposed to do? The Congress can pass legislation, tell the President what they want. The President has the right to veto that legislation. They're both doing what they're constitutionally capable of doing. The problem is that it's not two sides of the same coin. It's not just a tit-for-tat fight. Nancy Pelosi is right when she says that the Democrats have put forward what the American people have said they want to do on Iraq. It's the White House that's holding firm.
Are the Democrats emboldening the enemy by suggesting the withdrawal of the troops on this very specific timetable?
Well, there are two losers in this, or maybe probably even more than that. The troops are losing because they're not getting the funding that they need. Republicans are losing and Democrats are losing. The only one winner here are the enemies. Exactly right. Al-Qaeda plays, important to understand this, this is a front in the global war on terror. It's not just one war in Iraq. It's not like we leave tomorrow and everything's peachy keen. We're still at war with Islamic extremists that want to kill us. So the question is, are we giving them the propaganda fuel for their fire to rally up their troops? Absolutely, yes.
The Democrats...
And Rachel is wrong, by the way. The President said that when you give a timetable, I will veto this bill. Timetable is a problem, Rachel.
Roland, is this an ethical issue, as Nancy Pelosi suggested, or just a political stunt?
Well, it is a political issue, but also keep in mind there are thousands of U.S. soldiers that have been killed. We've seen a number of, 9 on yesterday. And so people are very concerned about their sons and daughters coming back home alive. So that is the critical issue. This is not political theater. Remember, when Newt Gingrich, Speaker of the House, and Bill Clinton, when he was president, they squared off over the budget. That was a war of wills. Bill Clinton won, had an impact. Democrats were able to regain Congress. And so this is what you have going on here. Now, what I find to be interesting is Dick Cheney wants to criticize Senator Harry Reid by saying, well, you're using this troop pullout for political purposes when Karl Rove used the war on terror and spoke of it for 2 consecutive elections as a way to aid the Republicans. And so both sides are trying to use the war.
You've got some points. You got some points here. It's not a question of how we got into this war, and we can say that it was not correct the way we got into this war, but we're at war with Al-Qaeda right now, the people that attacked us, and we're giving them fuel for their propaganda fire right now.
Congressman Dennis Kucinich today said not only, hang on, Roland, did they get this wrong, that this administration out and outright lied and misled the American public, and he called for the impeachment of the Vice President today. Let's listen to what he had to say.
These articles are filed in response to the question of who are we as a nation that we can let high public officials violate the law with impunity, take us into war that are based on lies.
All right. We know that one of the harshest critics of this war, John Murtha, thinks this isn't a very good idea on Mr. Kucinich's part.
Yeah.
What's the point of this exercise?
The point of this is that there should be an inquiry. The point of this, I agree with Dennis Kucinich for doing this, and I don't agree with him on everything, but I agree with him on this because what he has done by filing these articles of impeachment is telling the Judiciary Committee, decide if you think there ought to be an inquiry into this. We know that Dick Cheney played a central role in the outing of a CIA officer for political reasons.
We know that the issue of Iraq.
Yes, and he continues to maintain, to lie, to misrepresent what we know about the relationship between Iraq and Al-Qaeda, Iraq and 9/11. Those are big things. I think that we ought to look into whether they're high.
Isn't it fair to attack Dick Cheney When people perceive him as the chief architect of this war, doesn't he deserve some criticism in the prosecution of this war?
For me, what is much more relevant...
No, but answer the question. I don't care whether you think it's relevant.
I think time and place is important. And I think the relevance of what we're fighting right now in Iraq is 10 times more important than scoring political points
Roland
against
Martin,
Dick
you
Cheney.
get the last word.
Look, very simply, we should have an inquiry, and the bottom line is Dick Cheney wants to maintain that Iraq was involved in 9/11, and we simply know that it's not the truth.
Stay right there. We got a lot more to talk about tonight. Out in the open tonight, hip-hop hypocrisy and Hillary Clinton. After Don Imus insulted the Rutgers women's basketball team, calling them nappy-headed hoes, Senator Hillary Clinton was one of the biggest political names to come down hard on Imus for his racist and sexist language. We tried contacting both Timbaland and Senator Clinton, but neither returned our calls nor our emails. But the question remains, is this a case of political hypocrisy? Let's put that to our Out in the Open panel right now. Air America radio host Rachel Maddow, Niger Innes, a political consultant, national spokesman for CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality, and CNN contributor Roland Martin. Roland, I'm going to start with you. Let's play a little bit more from one of Timbaland's songs to get an audience an idea of the kind of language he routinely uses.
All the hoes love a nigga, they be backing it up. But me, I love money, I be stacking it up. When my bandwagon pull up, they hop on board. They hop right on mine and hop right off yours.
All right, so we just heard Senator Clinton's critics bash her for accepting money from Timbaland because what they say is hypocrisy. At the same time, she was attacking Don Imus. Should she give that money back?
Well, I think she should give it back because it's a matter of being honest about it. I mean, Russell Simmons is correct in terms of you accept dirty money left and right. Look, it's not like she had Timbaland in her iPod. I mean, let's just be honest here. She probably had to explain, somebody had to explain to her technically who Timbaland is. But it's not just that. Sean P. Diddy Combs in the last election was involved in a major get out the vote campaign. And so you have, not only that, how many record executives have given money to Clinton? I also want to know that as well.
All right. Well, we know that Barack Obama's campaign has also taken money from
David Geffen.
Rap Ludacris's label. But let's come back to Hillary Clinton's campaign. They will not tell us exactly how much she accepted, nor will they tell us if she really knew the extent of the vulgarity in his lyrics.
I don't think she
cared. Do you
cared.
buy that?
I don't buy it.
It's a case of not knowing or not caring.
It's a case of not caring. It's a case of let's just make sure that the check clears so I can spend this money for my campaign and my war against Barack Obama. Look, the fact that Roland's dead right. It's more than just these rappers. It is a whole entertainment, I say this again and again, entertainment industrial complex. I mean, you've got these rappers that go across and star in movies. 50 Cent, a former unrepentant drug dealer, is about to play an Iraq war veteran in a movie. Rapper Ice-T, that used to do videos about killing cops, plays a cop and has for 10 years. Hollywood has these guys and are promoting these images of young black men that has a detrimental impact in the black community, a definite, specific impact on young black males and young black females, and that's what we need to be outraged about.
Rachel, you're not going to tell me tonight it's just Obama and Clinton that are guilty of taking so-called dirty money.
Well, no. I mean, your outrage on this is unbelievable to me. The idea that you would be so outraged about Timbaland giving money, but, Exxon giving money and then seeking...
About the industry.
I mean, the Exxon, I mean, the
entertainment
industrial complex.
Yes.
I mean, literally, the oil company buying politicians wholesale in order to get what they want in terms of environmental policy and energy policy. Agribusiness buying what they want in terms of food safety going down the toilet in this country. We've got Big Pharma buying the worst healthcare system that's the most profitable system in the world. And what we're upset about is Timbaland.
And you in America, you
mad.
guys talk about that every day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I'm glad now that you're finally, and that mainstream media is finally talking about the entertainment industrial complex. And I hope we hold them to the same standard that we have these big pharma, big oil, all these negative
industries. What do you think Timbaland thinks he's getting for his money? Do you think they're trying to...
Influence and credit and political leverage and power. Absolutely.
Hang on. Let's get Roland jump in here.
Paul, I think also, this is not just about Timbaland. And again, I made the point, and we have to also look at it. How many other record execs, the people who get their bonuses, who are making more money than Timbaland, how much money have they contributed? If you're going to just target the rappers, you also have to target those who are also making their money off it as well. Look, in the last election, Joe Lieberman, in the last election. He was criticizing Hollywood, but they were raising money from the same producers producing violent films. That is the reality of politics. It's not a question of what's right and what's wrong. I do think, though, she's probably going to get some pressure, have to return some of the money, maybe the money directly that came from him as opposed to the entire fundraiser, but she is going to have to stand up. When you criticize Imus, you're going to have to be equally critical of people you accept money from.
She should learn a lesson. She should learn a lesson from her husband, who really came to the fore. His campaign was propelled by criticizing Sister Soldier and Jesse Jackson for having her at his convention.
All right, stay right there.
But if Bill got Timberland, he's not fun.
Save it, Ron, save it.